Hey everyone, so in the last video we kind of went over the pub sub model and the message broker for MQTT protocol. Here we're going to go ahead and show you a more general high-level overview of how to use those within AWS IoT and SDK. So just a quick a definition. When we refer to AWS IoT, we're referring to the service that AWS has. So however, the way you connect your devices to the cloud. The SDK, however, is what you're going to install on your different devices in order to communicate with the cloud. So the SDK does have a bunch of different languages, for instance, C, Python, JavaScript, and all that stuff. So choose the language that you feel is best fit.
And there is an SDK available for the Dragon board.
Yes. So here we have a bunch of different IoT devices. We kind of just want to go into what exactly an IoT device is.
What the image here shows a Amazon button called the Amazon Dash. Amazon sells these, and each button you can map to a product you're using in the house. For example, your toilet paper. You buy a button, stick it next to your toilet paper. When you run out, just hit the button. Amazon knows you're ordering a toilet paper, and it delivers to your house. And there are some safety measures in there, so you don't. If you hit it 10 times, it doesn't send you like a huge roll of toilet papers. It has certain mechanism. It'll like send you only once a month and so on. These buttons are really cheap, so you can buy these and map it to Amazon products. However, you can do your own thing with it too. As Zara mentioned, there's Amazon AWS IoT. You can buy these buttons, make it do your own custom thing. This is outside of the Dragon board. So you buy this button, stick it in your house, it hits it, it goes to the Amazon cloud. You can have it do whatever you want. I don't know, start your Tesla. That may be one. Yeah, you just put this button, it calls, goes to the Amazon cloud talk to the Tesla services, and then it sends message to your car or honk the horn or anything like that. So I would highly recommend you guys. It's really cheap, so that could be one of your capstone ideas. Buy this button and do something cool with it.
And the cool thing about the button is it's just when you press it, it just sends a signal like this button has been pressed. So depending on what you want to do with that specific event, with that specific device, you can do whatever you want on the cloud. Now let's say if you do want to do something more complicated, like in the future, I believe, modular lesson, we have a project where we gather temperature data, light data, and was it sound data?
Yeah. We have a project which you'll see later on. We'll, of course, give you all the source code for it, where we use the AWS IoT SDK to get temperature, light, and other sensor data and stream it in real time to the cloud, Amazon cloud. And you can see the data being plotted dynamically as we get the data. It's one way to use sensor data coming in using the MQTT protocol.
So it's either you can send something really simple or something complicated, but once it's into the cloud, you can do whatever you want with it depending on the data. So this is just a quick overview of how IoT service is or works on the servers. So every single time your IoT devices send data, it'll connect to the AWS IoT, which is your quote-unquote message broker. And depending on which type of data, so let's say you press a button for toilet paper, it might execute a Lambda function, which will go ahead and connect you to maybe the Amazon store, buy you the toilet paper and ship it to you directly. Or you might want to, let's say, get your temperature data from your Dragon board, send it upstream, maybe store it inside of a database like DynamoDB. So you can do whatever you want, and maybe you can also do multiple things at once. Like let's say every single time you press a button, not only does it buy you products from Amazon, but you might also send a push notification to your roommates saying, hey, I'm buying toilet paper. So you can do a bunch of different stuff once the data is on the cloud. So this is another quick overview of the architecture. Just some cool things that you can do with the IoT services, such as device shadows whenever your devices do go offline. But for the most part, we're not going to go too much into that. So real quick, I'm going to go over to the screen and I'm going to show you a quick example of how this AWS IoT works. And then we'll go ahead and look at the SDK. So we will be going over a more hands-on experience for IoT service in a different video. So what I want to focus on here is how publisher subscriber model works.
So you're currently logged into the Amazon panel.
Yes.
On the AWS IoT service, right?
Yeah, so if you look here somewhere, there's this AWS IoT right here. So I went ahead and clicked that. And then on the sidebar, I'm going over to test. So this is a kind of a test broker that we can go ahead and play with. So first off, I'm going to subscribe to a topic. So let's say toilet paper. And I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to that topic. Now notice on the left-hand side, this new area appeared. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new topic, let's say food. That is a new topic. Now let's say I have a Dragon board and I send a request saying we need toilet paper. And we have our device configured to go to the toilet paper channel. When we publish to that topic, we'll notice that they did receive our message. Go here, right here. So now if we have some sort of rule on our server, if it sees that message, it can go ahead and execute whatever we want it to do. And notice how food did not get that information at all, even though it's sent through the same location. So let's say instead of food, we need cereal and milk, let's say. Publish to that topic. Then only food will get that message. So this broker kind of helps you differentiate between different topics. So different devices can publish to different topics, and it cannot just be one maybe. You can do like 10 different topics at once if you want.
So that panel you're showing at the bottom is
Yes.
mimicking the functionality of the client SDK, right?
Yes, so
When you're you're going to send it from the SDK.
yeah, well, every single time you publish, that's mimicking the
You do it from the Dragon board.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So we'll go ahead and do a more hands-on one in a later module, which showcases that how exactly you do it from the Dragon board. But we'll just show you some example code from the GitHub repositories on how to do that. So now we're moving away from the cloud and we're moving over to the client side. So right here, I'm looking at the Python SDK for AWS. You can use any language you want, C, Java, whatnot. Go ahead and choose whatever fits best for your project. But some of our projects do use the Python. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at an example of how easy it is to just connect to the server. So here you have this kind of complicated block of code here. All this does is just set some settings, maybe your credentials and all that stuff. So don't worry too much about this section. We'll go over that later. Here is where the meat happens. So every single time you have a device, you want to connect to the server. Then maybe you want to publish some data. Maybe you even want to start listening to some data. So let's say instead of my topic, it was toilet paper. So I'm going to subscribe to the toilet paper topic. Maybe my other roommates already sent some messages there. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, we need some toilet paper. So you can do that through these two simple lines. And then there's a cool thing where you can actually leave it. Maybe you don't want to keep getting notified of these events. You can go ahead and unsubscribe from that. And if your device needs to go offline, just call a disconnect function. So here we were kind of showcasing simple messages, but imagine if, let's say, you have that Dragon board data with all the sensor data. Instead of sending that simple message, you can go ahead and inside that my payload, send that data through there. So it's kind of a simple lines or simple lines of code, but you can do some powerful stuff once it's connected to the cloud.